going on, guys? Welcome to the Intellectual Vomit Show, where we're going to get you uncomfortable. We're going to make you think, question the world around you, and have some awesome conversations. This is the People's Podcast. We're here for round 2 tonight, and we got a special guest coming on the show. Not telling you who it is. Ted Garter, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good today. Woo! We're on the rock and roll, baby. Here we go.
All right.
Episode 2 of the podcast. Second week. Told you guys we're coming. We're coming for you. Here we go.
Wait, we're coming for them?
We're coming for them. We're on the way. We are on the way.
His mind's been in the gutter all day, guys.
All day.
We spent the whole day together.
Working,
at
crushing
Starbucks,
it, making it happen.
This has been a problem the whole day.
It's been a dynamite day, though. It has been a problem.
It's
been a dynamite day.
And
perfect night and perfect
Is it
ending
perfect?
to the day. Oh, absolutely perfect.
Filming. But you know what we're going to talk about? We were inspired today, actually, to come up with our topic. It's interesting. You probably listen to a bunch of podcasts out there and you wonder to yourself, like, how do these people come up with their topics and how much in advance do they do that? And I'm sure people probably have it a month in advance. So we're a little bit more like fly by the seat of our pants sometimes. So we were going to talk about positivity, but we met 2 people today who really, really inspired us to talk a little bit more in depth than just positivity, but what it means to be inherently kind.
Spread kindness, spread love, spread positivity.
To pay things forward in life and to share your knowledge and experiences. And then we're going to also talk about what it's like being an entrepreneur, what it's like going after your dreams, the real stuff,
What it's
not
like
just not just the stuff you see on, Instagram or TikTok, like what it's actually like.
The real behind the scenes and what it's like overcoming fear, what it's like going through adversity.
And we're going to have a conversation about what it means to our special guest to be kind, loving, caring.
Yep.
And have her goals and her dreams and how she's going to attain them. So we gave a little bit away.
We gave a tiny bit away.
There's the teaser.
It's coming in.
All right. There we go.
Give a round of applause. Ready? 3,
2, 1.
Hey!
What's going on? How are you?
Hey, what's going on?
It's an honor to be on the show. I'm excited.
Introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers at home.
Okay, so hi everybody. My name's Abby. I met both of these amazing gentlemen in college at Farmingdale, and they hooked me in. They saw me dancing in Times Square. Gave a little bit of it away. And they said, Abby, we're starting this podcast. What are you passionate about? What are your goals? What are your dreams? And I'm so excited. And they asked me, would you like to be a guest on our show? So, of course, I was like, yes, let's do it. New experiences, doing everything new and exciting. And this is another check mark off of the bucket list.
We didn't tell her everything that happens on the show.
Every day is an adventure.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
What is the bell?
It's not the Howard Stern show. It's okay.
Oh.
It's all right.
Definitely not the house.
Better be.
Shout out to him. But, no, I mean, we're so excited to have our first guest on the show. See, we keep it real. This is the People's Podcast. We got to laugh. We got to have fun.
Oh, man.
So there's going to be more of that. But, no, we're so excited to have you.
We
know Abby for quite a few years. I remember when I first met Abby, she actually ignored my first 3 phone calls, so we got off to a really good start. Sometimes you never know in life.
I didn't know you.
I remember
It's okay.
when I first met Abby.
Oh.
No, that's for a different show.
Different show.
That's for the late night show, the really late show.
After Hours by Ted and Jay.
No, we're not gonna. No, that's okay. We're not. We keep it professional.
Suit and tie.
Suit and tie. All right. Well, anyway, Abby, tell us about yourself. What's your background? Where are you from? What do you do? All that good stuff.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm Abby again. I was born in Virginia, moved to Glendale, and then I moved out to Long Island. So I've lived in 3 different places. I've traveled to a whole bunch of cool places, exploring culture, music. What I'm love to do right now is dancing. I dance salsa and bachata. I'm still learning. You're always a student no matter what field you're in, there's always something new to learn. And I'm really excited to be here. My passion, what I'm doing career-wise is I'm going to school to be a nurse. After a couple bumpy bumps in the road, I took an EMT class over the summer, became an EMT, fell in love with medicine, and I wanted to help people and wanted to help out my community. So that's what I'm doing. And
cool.
And for work
awesome.
right
That's
now,
so
I work
cool.
at an animal hospital. So medicine.
You mentioned that you traveled to really, really cool places and you met a lot of cultures. Tell us a little bit about those places.
I went on a cruise, luckily, when I was 16. And I've been all around the Caribbean. I've been to Spain. Portugal is one of my favorite trips to go to in 2019 before this whole COVID happened.
Yeah.
an amazing experience. If you have the opportunity to go to Portugal, go. And it's really healthy food too. So I ate a whole bunch of food and I dropped 10 pounds. That's how healthy it is over there. So it's good for your belly. It's good for your summer body.
What's one of the most impactful moments that you had while you were there?
That's a good question.
Ooh, it is a really good
Like
question.
what stuck with you?
What stuck with you while you
So
were
much.
there?
Besides the food. Honestly, just nature. I didn't know so many beautiful things existed. You know, you see those pictures on postcards and, you know, TV shows, but you never quite really grasp the beauty that is nature once you go out to somewhere remote, somewhere you haven't been before, you know, being somewhere totally new. And honestly, looking up at the stars at night in Portugal outside of a city space, without all that light pollution, it feels like you're in like the galaxy. You're up in space. There's so many stars, and that's one of the things that changed my life.
I like nature. You like nature, Jay?
Yes.
That's really
That is
cool.
beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
It's not gonna compare, but it kind of reminds me of my aunt and uncle live in Westchester, New York, and sometimes when you're up there and you're in a big field or on a farm or just driving down a gravel road, it's like, I guess the only way I could explain it is it's like you're floating in space almost, right? Like you're just completely in serenity with nature. It's beautiful. It's quiet.
You really get a grasp of how tiny, how small you are, and it's kind of scary. It's a little, it's a little frightening. It's like, where in this giant space that we call home do we fit in? You know, where in this giant universe, you know, does one little person make? And it's scary. It's eye-opening.
I think that's where we're gonna start the conversation. Like that was an awesome segue. Like what you just said,
yeah.
Because you're like you don't realize how tiny you are. But here's the question. We may be small on this earth, right? We may be 1 in 7 billion, but how big is the impact that you can have on other people?
Booyah.
I was gonna say that.
So that's how we're gonna start the show. There we go. It's okay.
Now we're jumping into the topics, guys.
And this is how we go, guys. This is how the show is. So that's the question I'd ask you. How are you making an impact on other people, and what do you really think the word impact means in someone else's life?
Impact is affecting somebody's way of life, whether it's spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally, and how I impact other people is just kindness and positivity. You never know how many people you can impact, who you can impact, how much you impact on their day, on their lives, just by one little conversation, one compliment, one word even. You know, I remember going through high school growing up, you know, struggling with bullying and struggling with just finding myself and coming out of my shell. Having that one person on like your toughest day say something so random, so simple as, I really like your hair today. Something as simple as, I love your outfit. Where did you get those shoes from? It changes your mindset like that. It's just like a what is it?
It's a catalyst.
Yes,
it's a catalyst.
It automatically turns your day upside down. It's like in all the great ways, hopefully. Like, wow, somebody noticed me, and to be noticed can have such an impact. It can change your state of mind for the day. You never know what somebody else is going through and how you can affect their day, either positively. How do you say
Positively.
that? Positively. Sorry.
We're not professional.
Positively or negatively. So,
Right.
I always try and go the positive route, you know, and that led me to winning my senior superlative, which is most likely to brighten your day. So smiles all around. So, yes.
Now, I think that, you know, going into that segue of spreading positivity and making someone smile is such a goal that people have every day. And once you do that, you know, you really see what impact you make on that person's life. And, you know, today was just such a perfect example that I met about 3 or 4 people that we made smile today. We made such an impact on their lives and have made such an impact on our lives. So the message of that is, you know, you get up every day, you make someone smile, you breathe this amazing fresh air, and you just spread positivity and kindness, and you see the chain reaction. I remember a while back, a couple months ago, there was someone who said to me, you know, Ted, you want to make such a big impact on the world. And, you know, here I am, I'm doing it in the best way that I can possible. But he said, just start by doing it with each individual that you meet, because then it starts creating a chain reaction of individuals. I'm pretty sure that was Vinny that said that, actually. Shout out to you, Vinny.
Remember what Larry said to us? We met at, remember that story? So Ted and I were working on the irrigation business, and I decided that we should go prospect in upstate New York. It was a great idea. We rented a car, and I thought that the enterprise that we rented the car from was like totally really legit. Obviously, it's a story because it wasn't. Was it a Hertz or an Enterprise? All right, it was a Hertz. Not to bash Hertz out there, but this is what happened. So we get this car from a Hertz. I remember it was a Chevy Malibu, which, by the way, I've never driven in my life. So here I am in a Chevy Malibu. And we're driving over the bridge. I think it was the George Washington Bridge. And the check engine light comes on this car. And we start hearing grinding and sounds. And he and I love cars. And we look at each other as we're crossing over the middle of this bridge. Like, we're not going to get stuck on a bridge. Right?
That can't happen.
It's not going to happen.
No.
Like, in the third lane. And we made it over the bridge. I don't know how. There must have been no fluids left in the car because when we got down to the LaGuardia Airport Hertz, no joke, I drove us in between the runways. If you've ever been to LaGuardia Airport, you're from New York. You know that little slip of road that goes through the runways? So we drive into the Hertz, and I immediately start going crazy. And I'm like, we're driving a car that's broken. How could you rent this to someone? And I remember we walked out of the car with our backpacks. And all on the ground was like blue and yellow fluid like surrounding the car. And I'm like,
this is not good.
That's not supposed to be there.
No.
You know, unless somebody like, thought they were like Andy Warhol and they're painting the pavement. So,
or they just took a giant piss. I mean, that too.
So
blue urine.
The car was like totally leaking.
So they were high and they had pee.
Right. The car is totally leaking. And we had to get a new car at Hertz. But the moral of the story is our whole day got completely ruined because we didn't actually get to go prospecting. But when we sat at the Dunkin' Donuts on, I think it was like Astoria Boulevard. It was like 5 minutes from the airport. And we sit down next to this older man who, if you looked at him, you probably wouldn't have really sat down. And we ended up finding out that he owned a jeweling company and he was Donald Trump's jeweler. Like just a crazy successful guy. And one thing I've learned, guys, in life is talk to everybody with the same level of respect and excitement. You have no idea who's in front of you that you're talking to. The biggest mistake that people make is they judge really, really quickly. So we're going to get Abby a little bit uncomfortable and ask her a question about that in a second here. But I want to ask you guys a question as we're talking. Why do you think people do that? Why do you think people judge too quickly and they think they know exactly who's in front of them? And I don't want to talk to them. They don't look like my kind of person. Now, their clothes are too fancy. I can't have a conversation with them. They make too much money, or they look like they don't make any money, so they're not my kind of people. Like, why do people do that? So we end up sitting down with this gentleman, Larry, for probably about 2 hours.
It was about 4.
Was it about 4? It felt like 2.
Technical Teddy.
It was just
it was
so great.
It was about 4 hours.
It was a great conversation.
This guy was wearing a cane, messed up boots, jeans, and he was an incredible salesman, I'll tell you that. And I remember he was wearing a blue hat and he was
Did he sell you his cane?
No.
He would need quite a link for that.
But he really spit some insight and some windows. I encourage the youth out there and a lot of people. The world's your classroom. Just go out there and start talking to people, and you'll just learn so many things about them, about life, and about stories. Like, not everything is in a book or on your computer. Talk to people.
And what he said, which has stuck to us, I think, to this day and is so impactful, is he said, just be kind to people, and if someone gives you their phone number, call them back. Like, actually do that. Actually be the first one to contact and connect with somebody. And just like Ted said, listen to them. Give them the opportunity. If somebody's willing to share their wisdom and experiences with you, that's really special. And that doesn't always happen. So we were touched that day. It's something that I'll always remember, but it's part of our conversation. We've been so lucky to meet so many successful, inspirational people along the way.
Man, we really have.
And so we met a gentleman this morning. Wow. His name is Stephen Gilden. And he's got a very successul law firm in the city. And he told us, hey, you can drop my name. It's fine. I hope nobody's going looking for him. Great guy. And he's a divorce attorney. But he was just hanging out at Starbucks just like us. And he said, come here, guys. Come sit down.
Yeah, because come to my office. He was sitting there.
Because he was listening to us do some sales calls and talk about marketing for the irrigation business and just kind of do our work. He said, come sit. And he said, you guys are entrepreneurs, right? And we said, yeah. He's like, well, I want to tell you guys something. He goes, first of all, focus really hard, work really hard. You're young. You can take risks. You don't have crazy financial responsibilities. But then he said something that not everybody says that's successful. I mean, he's got a very successful firm. with a lot of people that he's mentored over the years. And his advice to us was just to pay it forward. Because I asked him, hey, what can we do for you? You know, you took time to sit down with us and said, if we need anything, call. What can we do for you? And he just said, pay it forward to somebody else. And lead life with kindness. And this is someone very successful. And that was his advice.
I mean, here we are talking about it, how we're paying it forward to you guys and how we want you guys to also pay it forward. That's that chain reaction that I was talking about that I'll never forget in my life on how that's impacted me. But it's very true. Absolutely. And we're going to mention somebody else that we met today, which is really cool. But I want to ask Abby first.
Ooh, is this the uncomfortable question or is this the basic question?
This is just a little basic. Could be uncomfortable.
Okay.
How in your life so far, and I'll ask this, how in your life so far have you felt like you paid it forward?
That's a good question. I like that.
That's a very great question.
I like that.
Okay. I feel like I've paid it forward just by being me, my authentic self, and wanting to make others happy in a sense of I want to make other people feel good about themselves. I want to make people feel encouraged. Encouragement is so big to me. I was on a couple of sports teams in high school. I wasn't good at all, but and I became like the team mom. So I was always there screaming and encouraging everybody. I also brought you could ask any of my high school friends from West Babylon. I would bring a giant duffel bag and I would pack blankets, water bottles, granola bars, because some of these kids would come in, mind you, they're my age, would come in with like their running sneakers and like call it a day. And I'm like, but where is your food? Like, you need granola, you need water. I'm sorry, not food before a race, but you need water, and some of these meets are hours and hours long. They could be outside, they could be inside, they could be in the city, and these kids have nothing to eat or drink, or, I would buy Gatorade. I don't even drink Gatorade. I've never been a Gatorade person. But I always, I would go to the supermarket, make my parents go to the supermarket, the day before, and be like, we need to buy Gatorade for the team. We need to buy something, And I never knew how much of an impact that made until my senior year. And I got all these cards from kids from the junior high school that I helped coach.
That's amazing.
And people would sign your yearbook, and a lot of them signed my yearbook, and they're like, you helped me through a lot of things, and some of them weren't even track related. Wow. There's this kid who signed my yearbook. His name is Connor, and they're all like my children. I love them very much and wish them nothing but the best in life. And he's like, Abby, I remember the first thing I remember is your smile. He's like, you were so upbeat and positive, and you're always encouraging me to do my best in running, but you also would sit with me and help me do my homework. I don't even remember helping this kid with his homework, but he does. People remember those things, and it's something is so tiny that I don't even remember doing, but, it made him feel like great. It made him feel helped and encouraged and loved to a certain extent, that team bonding, that maternal, I guess, that sisterly bond, whatever you want to call it.
So what I'm hearing is you really paid it forward by being Mama Bear of the group.
Mama Bear,
yes! You just encourage and you use your abilities to just hold down a lot of people and give them what they need in life, whether it be through a sports team, whether it be through educational purposes, whether it be helping them just by making them smile.
Or being an EMT or a firefighter. So
that is so cool. that is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I love that.
So other than being encouraging, with your words, you can also be encouraging and positive with your actions, like helping out in your community. Recently, we went to go serve food to the homeless in Penn Station. That was so fulfilling with a youth group from a church that I go to, just handing out necessities to people in need. We don't realize, we know the homeless people are there, but they all disappear during the wintertime. Where do they go? And little do you know that these people, you see cardboard boxes all over the street. There are people inside these boxes, and they have nothing. So, handing out those utilities, handing out blankets, toiletries, even a book, even a conversation is something so essential. And, these people look for it and they need it. People look at the homeless like they're nothing because they have nothing. But that's not true. All these people want more than, some warm food and the basic necessities for life in the iron jungle is somebody to talk to them. We look at them, we see them, but how many of us really look and say, oh, let me have a conversation with this person? Right. No, we judge based on the fact that they're homeless.
But why do we judge?
Why do we judge?
This is my honest question. I was going to ask you a follow-up. Mm-hmm. This is where the show is going to get uncomfortable for people. This is my favorite part.
Sure. Yeah. Jump in.
Look, it's psychology, okay? So I think we can all agree.
It's not psychology, but it's science, and I'll explain.
I'd love to hear this.
So...
I think we can all agree that we all we all see somebody or talk to somebody, and we find a way that they're similar to us, and we kind of relate to them that way. So we have a preconceived notion in our mind. Fine. But my question is, why do we judge so harshly? Why do we do it so quickly and abruptly? And give me an answer or try to come up with a theory in your mind why more people just can't be nice and decent and respectful and accepting of other people. Why do you think that is?
Okay. So a lot of it has to do with our nature as human beings, and some of it is also just what we're taught, you know, what society has taught us. So back to us as human beings, as, you know, Homo sapiens, back in the olden days, you know, when we used to be hunter-gatherers and hunting and doing all these things, we register information, how everything that we see, everything that we hear, everything that we feel, is this going to be essential to my survival, or is this going to, you know, end my life, you know? So either we judge, we're supposed to be able to judge a threat, recognize a threat, and like within seconds, because those seconds could make or break your life. And moving fast forward, nowadays, I think a lot of it is based on what we're told, that for one stranger danger, everyone out there is there to hurt you. Another thing is that people are a lot, you know, they're more concerned about themselves than making a positive impact and being outgoing and positive. So, you know, no one talks to their neighbors anymore. I don't talk to my neighbor. I don't know who my neighbor is. You go back 50 years, everybody, you know, people were dropping off their kids at their neighbor's house. These are, you know, people that aren't related to them, but they became related through, you know, they would talk, spend time. Everyone's out on the front porch talking, having a barbecue, you know? So I think that we tend to judge people more so than before because of those reasons.
Isn't that kind of like a fight or flight response in a way too? Like,
yes.
It really depends on like how you feel a situation out when you feel like people out too. Like
any kind of conflict, any kind of interaction.
Isn't there like, honestly, a way of judging a person too? Because like, there's different ways you judge somebody.
Well, so
do you understand what my question is?
It's a good question. Like I do this in sales.
Yeah.
Like when
okay.
I'm selling.
Like,
okay, so in reality, when you're selling anything, a product or a service, you have to read that person, and so.
But is it judging or is it analyzing?
I think they're very similar, though. I think the process in your brain, in my opinion, is very similar.
But the connotation of judging makes it sound harsher.
Well, I'll give you an analogy to that, right? Mm-hmm. If I said manipulation, what kind of connotation does that have?
It has a negative one. You know, you're trying to get something from somebody in a negative way that's going to only benefit you.
Okay, but why does it have to be negative? Because I could manipulate somebody to do something positive in their life, like let's say they have bad habits. I could manipulate them by using psychology, and all of a sudden they have good habits. Didn't I just improve their life? Like, why do words have to have a negative connotation when you can use them in a positive way? They're just words or just actions. So to me,
there's science behind that. That's why you go to, if you have an issue, let's say a mental health issue that's severe enough, you go see a professional. You seek somebody who knows professionally what to say or what to do and have treatments for that. You know, you can't walk up to a random person and be like, I think you're and you see them sad in the corner and say, I think you're depressed.
I get that.
Let me say some words to help you. You know, it's not.
No, I understand, but to me, judging just has a negative connotation. But I am judging the situation where I'm selling to that person. If I'm trying to sell Ted tickets to something, and I see that he's dressed up and he's got a nice watch on. Yeah, my judgment is that he probably makes enough money to afford my ticket, so I should speak to him. And I probably could sell them for a little bit higher than maybe the person who doesn't have that watch on. Is that truthful? I have no idea. Is it a fair judgment? I don't know. Perhaps you could be the judge of that. But at a basic foundation, like I'll give you a great example. When we sit down with people in the financial world and we have a conversation about what's going on and retirement and protecting their family with insurances, one of the things that we do is we're looking to see that person's reactions and their body language to the questions we're asking. And it's not always about what someone says, it's how they say it.
Yes.
So the whole time I'm making judgments about their responses, their body language, their tone. So I guess you could say I'm judging, but the way I would look at that is I'm assessing. I'm assessing what they're saying, how they're saying it to make decisions.
You switched the words. You didn't say I'm judging how they make their decisions. Because judging, I feel like, has like you're commenting on what they are based on what they just said.
Well,
versus assessing, you're you're assessing, you're looking at, or you're hearing about what they say, you're watching their actions, you're feeling their heart rate, whatever.
So like I said, there are different ways and different assessments of what judgment
There's
is.
different words for it.
There's different words. I can judge you on the way that you are dressed right now.
Yeah, you could you can judge that
I could judge you by the way your body movements or your maneuvers, the way you have body language.
I think what we're kind of getting at here, like in my opinion, it's human to judge.
Of course,
this is built into us. It's like saying
instinct.
It's like saying that there's a motherboard in a computer. There's judgment in the human brain. I think really the question that we're trying to get to, this is just my opinion. It's not do we judge. It's why do we judge what we judge about people. Is that
kind of like the same question as
why do we pick the amount of money they make and to pick what they wear and how attractive they are? Why don't we pick something like how kind are they? Or how giving are they? Why don't we do that?
Because it doesn't matter how kind they are, how giving they are. And I'm just speaking like devil's advocate. It just matters how are they going to affect my life. It's very selfish. How are they, based on how much money they make, can I make this sale? Like, can I sell them this? Can I get them to do something? That's you're judging them based on, it depends on where your mind is, like if I'm judging somebody who's walking down the street, I used this example before, and they have a hood on and they're wearing dark clothing and they have a malice face, they're angry and they look like they're reaching in their pocket, typically you see it in the movies all the time. 99% of the time in the movie, the guy with the hand in the pocket who has a hood on in the gas station has a gun. And that makes you scared. I don't want to die. You want to die?
Like I said.
You want to die?
I don't know.
No!
Maybe not that way.
No, to die like that, no!
Man, Abby's really going off on this. Holy moly.
I guess I'm not filling up my tank tonight because
this is incredible.
No, but it's just keeping keeping your eye out. But
what would a world without judgment look like? This is a really interesting question. What would a world without judgment look like?
Less people, less population.
Yeah,
so
you think the more judgment there is, the more population there is, and the next question that I would layer on top of that is the more population, the more comparison, right? It's naturally a numbers game. So
thus more judgment.
Would you say that judgment and comparison are a result of a larger population? Or do you think that judgment and comparison are not the result, but the cause of a larger population?
It's
Which
a
one is it?
factor. I wouldn't say you can't say that this immediately impacts population. There's so many factors that, humans are living longer, which means they have the possibility to create more babies. So that's that one. We have better healthcare. A very long time ago, the majority of women died during childbirth. It was very common, and it was very common for women to die in giving kids. And even if you did birth those children, 9 out of 10 of them would die. It was the mortality rate for infants till the age of 7 was almost zero. It was very hard. And you have all these diseases that we have vaccines for. So you can't, population and judgment doesn't really, not really.
So here's what I see on a daily basis, and I don't understand this.
We got off topic.
And no, there's no such thing as off topic.
Justin to reel us back in.
Actually, she's just judging what I said.
No.
I'm kidding. I have to make that joke. No. So here's something that I've never understood, honestly. Like, let's look at social media, okay? Everybody spends hours of their life watching other people's lives.
And we judge them.
Now, might say I'm a hypocrite because here we are talking about what we do in our experiences and asking you questions, and this is part of our lives. But we're not doing this for validation. We're doing this because this is our way of giving back and being part of a greater purpose. I want to understand how it's possible that a phone with videos of other people's lives have taken over your lives at home so much. Now, I'm not saying that's every single person, but by and large, think about this. Like, your lives have been impacted by videos of someone else's that you've never met. How is that possible? I mean, how people comment, oh my God, I love you, you're the best, and I want to be you, and I want to wear the clothes, and how cute is your outfit, and just pour admiration to people. I think we have a question in class.
Pick me.
And here's the question.
She actually raised her hand.
I did.
I can't believe. Look, I can't believe she just raised her hand. Bell's going to ring soon for lunch. But
I'm hungry.
how as a human race have we allowed other people's lives to be more important at times than our own? I mean, seriously, people spend more time working on watching videos and more time looking at others' lives than I would argue sometimes working on their own lives and betterment. How is that possible? Why is it happening?
Because they're not content and happy with what they have in their life.
You should let the guest answer this one.
Well, no, he could.
I'm
he
kidding.
Can answer a question.
No, but I'm
what
how
he
is that
said,
possible?
we as humans crave more information, more exposure to things, more of everything. So take a look at people, and Teddy has a great way of saying this when we've had this conversation before, that people in third world countries who have nothing, who live 10 times in worse conditions than we do, they're so happy and content with life, selling coconuts, trading. They live in huts. They live in actual huts. Like people where I'm from, in Ecuador, they live in huts. They have nothing. There's no design or anything. There's no perfume. Having anything more than like a poor man's meal is fine. It's more than fine. These people live the happiest they've ever lived. Why? They're not exposed to what we're fortunate enough to be exposed to is a phone. The ideas or the possibilities of all of that new information. If we don't have a telephone, how can we communicate with somebody in Spain? How do we see pictures from Spain to what Spain's like? How do we even know Spain exists?
That's why I live the art of simplicity in life.
What does that mean? Tell what does that mean? Like elaborate.
So the analogy that she's talking about, when you in life, when all you want is you want more, and especially in Western culture, United States, you want more. You want to take more because there's abundance of more here. What we think of our materialistic lives and what we have in society here is more. How much more can I take? Whether it be that person that also wants to give back, but how much more can I really take from this life? And there's nothing wrong with taking things and going after what you want in life, because that's how you get places. You take things. You take what you want. It's innate. It's human instinct. But
it's never gonna go away.
Right. There's a difference between that and the analogy that she made that the people that are in like third world countries. Like I said from the beginning of the show, I'm half Dominican, so like I visit sometimes there 2-3 times a year. When we're there's these kids, there's families that live in huts, and their toiletries and the way they use the restrooms are completely different than the way of life that is here in Western culture. But the point that I'm getting is those people are content and grateful for what they have because it's all that they've seen, that's all that they've known. So why not just be happy with what you have? And it just segues into why not the United States and people here in Western culture be content with what they have, and what they want.
Aren't you talking about nature versus nurture?
In that way, yes. Like
it's conditioning. You're conditioned that way.
You're conditioned in your environment to what you want, and how you're grateful, and how you ground yourself and say this is what's making me happy in my life, and what's giving my peace and my contentment. So that is definitely a big part of it. But it's very amazing we can make those analogies, those comparisons, and how different life is in certain places as opposed to here. And good topic.
Here's what's so interesting
really
about that to me. Would you guys agree that everybody on planet Earth is a human being? Every person.
Yes.
Everybody's a person, or every human being.
We're gorillas.
Homo sapiens.
No, I'm kidding.
A person is a person, no matter how small.
Okay. Now think about this. We're on a rock in the middle of space, and somehow, even though we're 99.9% the same, we're all people, we've developed hundreds of languages, hundreds of cultural traditions, thousands of different facial mannerisms and speaking patterns. We all have different ideas of what wealthy and poor is. We have different ideas of what success is. In some countries, there's no freedom. In other countries like ours, I think there's sometimes too much freedom. In some places, you're not exposed to what goes on politically. In other places, like where we're from, it is what people watch at the dinner table.
Every day.
How is it possible through millions of years? I don't want to use the evolution versus creation debate tonight, but how is it possible through millions of years of progression, we'll call it for this show, progression of human beings, that even though we're all the same, and we're talking about how we should be grateful for more and we should be accepting of what we have, at the same time we've all developed in a way as a species where we're all so dramatically different, but at the same time everybody understands what kindness is. Isn't that weird to you? Like, it's weird to me. Like, how did language, where did that come from? Where did culture come from? Why are there so many different variations of the same thing? And when I say the same thing, it's really just the pursuit of happiness. Every person wants to be happy, safe. They want to have food, shelter, and they want to feel like they believe in something bigger than them. But there's so many versions of that. And the craziest thing, we fight over it. How crazy is that? How could it be possible that we fight over the same thing? Because really, it's just a different shade of gray.
We're greedy.
But why is that?
We want more. Everyone wants what they can't have.
I understand, but it's like you're not allowing me to have the answer, so I want more of the answer. But like, what inside of us does that? Well, why can't we just give?
Honestly, okay. Let me break that down for a second, then.
Technical Teddy has
break
entered.
It down now.
Entered the show.
And I'm musical, so we have technical, we have musical, and then we have ringleader, businessman, entrepreneur, salesman. What do you want to be?
I was gonna say ancient history, but
everybody
thinks I'm like 90, so it's okay.
Sleazy salesman. I'm kidding.
No!
Oh, I'm just kidding.
Here we are talking about positivity. You would say sleazy salesman?
Break it down. Break it down.
My judgment of people.
Yeah, see? Now you're judging it.
Break it down. Like, what's the thought there?
Words.
I'm jumping on it. I take a minute to process, but it's definitely about, and we talk about positivity, making people smile and helping them throughout their way of life, and we're all here to help each other and guide each other in certain ways. But that, the essence of that, the epitome of that is, people live their life in the way that they want to live their life, though. I mean,
do they? But
listen,
no, I don't think so. I don't agree with you.
In our society today.
Okay.
In our society today.
Okay.
Yes, there are comparisons in a way of life where people want to jump on board and say, I want to live like that person. That's like the future of my reality and how I want to live. I could be a person that says, I want to be somebody sleeps on the street, they use their bathroom, not a normal bathroom, and a person could be very envious of that life and say, I want to live that life.
Fine.
And then there could be a person that says, I want to be a millionaire person who lives in this ginormous house on the coast, and now I'm living this life. So it's just...
But take it a step further.
The person
take it a step further.
Wait. A person wants to live their life the way they want to live their life.
Take it a step further.
I am a lot more simplistic than you two, Gary.
Yeah, but wait. Well, we started, though, by saying that people are very influenced by people on social media, right? Abby, you said that.
Yes.
So let's take this a step further. You said, repeat that. People want to live the life they want to live their way, right?
Their way, their own inherent way.
Great.
How they see fit.
Great.
Wait, before we move on to that, I think that a lot of people don't have the same opportunities as other people in order to live the way that they want to live. Yes, everybody has, wants to live their life a certain way, but I can not have resources because, I don't have access to them than other people do, and yet, I can't live the way I want to live, but they can. Not saying that you can't work your way up and do it, but some people have, a hard time with those, and they're stuck in that limbo.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I think a lot of people make excuses. I think a lot of people say things like, well, I didn't have money growing up, so I'll never own a business. No, that's not true, because that's not a qualification for owning a business. And a lot of people will say things like, I just had so much hardship in my life, so it's always going to be hard. No, that's not true either.
Not everybody has the same opportunities. Now, I'm not making an excuse, because there are some things that you are in charge of your life, and you do have a say.
But what type happens. Of opportunities then? Like, clarify. Like, make it go deeper than that, because I think that's too broad. Everything's an opportunity.
He made a broad statement saying everybody lives the way they want to live. I can make a broad statement and say, well, not everyone has the same. Not everyone has the freedom to live the way that they want to live. I guarantee you, people in North Korea don't want to live the way that they're living right now, because they don't know what it is. They don't have the opportunity to have a say in
But do they know differently? Like, they might not be able to even think, I don't want to live this life, because they don't know anything different. It's conditioning.
But people who live in North Korea, many people die or get injured or get persecuted even trying to leave. They're not allowed to leave their country.
Right, I understand.
Or other communist places. So, it's they don't have the opportunity to.
So moral of the story is,
I'm playing devil's advocate.
If someone gets
I know you are.
Moral of the story is the way that a person lives their life. I just said I live my life in a simplistic way. The way that I want to live in the house I want to live in, I want a green plant near my bedroom, a TV, and my desk and I'm happy.
And you work every day for that to happen.
And I don't need a lot.
But here's...
Let me finish.
Because this is where I'm going after what you're saying, yeah.
Let me finish, though. But your point of understand the environment, nature versus nurture, how you go about living a certain life. Like, if a person clings on to, and I'll point at the camera, if a person clings on to something that, how they want to live that life, I'll give you the example, like if someone from North Korea lives in Western culture society and comes here and they see the way that we live life here, and they get a taste of it, oh wow, my mind goes, now I want to go ahead and live that kind of life like that. Like,
that's kind of the point that I was going to make.
I knew it was going to point. That's the circumstantial life you want to live.
What you're talking about is circumstantial reality. Circumstantial reality. It's kind of a term I made up. What I'm basically saying by that is everybody's reality is basically designed based upon what they're exposed to from birth. So that's why it's so different. But here's the problem with that fundamentally. You just said it. You expose somebody to something that they're not used to. So what's reality and what's really their life and what really they're going to have in it? They can't answer that question. I think any of us can. Where I want to go with this is social media is a great example of this. I think it's a perfect analogy. Tad, would you say that I live my life the way that I want to every day? I'm pretty intentional. What would I do?
By the way that we've worked together and like had fun together, yeah, I'd say so. Like you are a man of a person who lives life the way he wants to live his life. Yes.
Okay. Now, do I spend some time on social media?
Without a doubt.
Do I watch Reels?
Yeah.
Maybe some TikTok.
Probably more than me. Yeah.
Okay. And when I watch those, do you think sometimes I look at something on there and I'm like, man, I should do that?
I don't know. Do you?
I should think that way.
Do you?
Yeah, we all do, right? Hey, you ever watch those TikToks about like how to formulate your day better, and then you start doing that on your calendar, or how to be more positive?
Inspired.
Yeah, you're inspired, but here's the point that I'm getting to. I don't think anybody on this earth can actually live exactly the way that they want to, because you're exposed to so much of other people's lives that your human nature is actually, it reverts to comparing. And so you start to take from other people's lives. You know what the biggest problem is? We're all trying to live, all of us are trying to live in a sense, in a continuum. Some people a lot, some people very little. We're all trying to live based upon the validation, the ideas of others. And I think the problem with our society, and I don't know why it is the way it is, I heavily blame social media, I heavily blame education for not teaching people what it means to be an individual and have their own thoughts and opinions and ask questions and challenge authority. And I heavily blame a lot of corporations for not teaching people that they can have their own ideas, they can contribute, and that the hierarchy runs the world. I blame all that for what's become a society right now where all we do is sit there and try to act and be just like everybody else, and at the same time say, I'm living my best life. Because if it was really your best life, you wouldn't need everybody else to tell you how to do it, would you? You're sitting there on your phone watching other people's lives saying, I'm going to do that this way. You're also saying, I'm living my best life. How does that make any sense? Because before cell phones and before TikTok and Instagram,
your phone robs your thought of organic thought.
People lived their best life then too. They just didn't call it that, and it wasn't a catchphrase, but they did it themselves. They learned themselves. They made their own mistakes. They figured things out. They weren't exposed to a lifetime supply of images and information in 35 minutes. So I think it's dangerous.
I'll have a question. I'll ask you guys this.
Yeah.
If we look at society in the past, histories in the past.
Yeah.
Don't worry, guys. We're still going to circle back to spreading positivity
and entrepreneurship. And this is all building up to how to get more positive.
We're getting there. We're circling
digging.
Back. We're circling back.
Sometimes, guys, to find the root of the problem, you got to dig underground. That's what we're doing.
We took the long.
Go to the roots.
Fundamentally, the way that society has been set up, in the past, and the dawn of human time in centuries past, there's always been someone who says, "I lead, you follow." There's always been people who don't have as much of that organic thought as somebody else. There's leaders and there's followers. That's just the way of life. Like that's life. You have the people who lead, you have the alphas, and I'm not going to make that analogy, but you have the people that
you have the leaders and you have the followers.
That's it. Like that is
Are there
society.
more followers today than leaders?
So that's the comparison. That's the analogy. That's the organic thought.
Are there more followers today than there ever have been in history?
We'll get there, but my thought forward to you guys was, and I mention this quite a bit. I do. I talk about this. I have theories about it. I have thoughts about it. I'd love to hear it from you guys and what you guys think about this, because technology, the way the future, the way that we're going to live as human beings in the future, do you guys think that the cell phones and the social media, do you think that it is essentially robbing people of their organic thought? And what I mean by organic thought is the ability to invent, is the ability to freely think for themselves, more so than were doing in the past. You know, that is my question.
Can I answer your question with a question?
Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay. So you asked me if we think that cell phones and all kinds of different social technologies in that area have robbed us of our organic thought and ability to be more of an individual. I'd like to answer your question with a question. Okay? Do you think in past times, before that technology, before all these influences...
That's what we're circling back to. Yeah.
Do you think that more people quietly had their views and opinions and quietly had the organic thoughts? Or were they more verbal, outgoing, and communicative with other people about them?
Verbal, outgoing, communicative.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, how?
In the past.
How do you figure that?
They did that more individually with other people.
But they didn't have the platform to do it.
Exactly.
Because now everybody's a brand today. Everybody can speak freely with no consequences, and everybody believes something, and everybody's an expert, and everybody's got an opinion, and that's great.
Well, back then people couldn't at certain times.
So it's interesting.
It's on a grander scale now.
Right, but think about what you just said.
Is it on a grander scale because we know about it? Or is it...
Right.
Or,
right.
People can... We'll never know the answer.
And only in our country. In other countries, there's no freedom of speech. So, but think about what you just said. You think that back then people had more organic thought of their own, and they thought for themselves as a person. I agree with you. But interestingly, they didn't have the opportunity to be as outspoken as they do now with technology.
Or to do those
so
things.
What you learn in life is everything has a cost and an opportunity associated with it. So yeah, we have social media, and in some way it's hurting people. People's attention spans are 6 seconds long. Less and less people are able to have a real conversation face to face. People don't respect each other's opinions, and people are too interested in other people's lives and comparing and trying to emulate and trying to be someone else. That's the negative. You know what the positive is? You can literally build a business today, and you literally be somebody actually helping people on the internet. You can share your views and opinions in a safe place where they're going to get out there to people that you'd never have a chance of even meeting because they're hundreds of thousands of miles away. And as well, you can get discovered by other people as a professional that has these opinions. I mean, look, we're doing our show. I love our show.
I love it.
How cool would it be if somebody knocked on my door tomorrow and was like, you guys are the IV guys, we want to make you a Netflix special. You couldn't do that 30 years ago. That wouldn't happen, right? So there's your good and your bad. I think the point of the conversation is we're talking about human psychology, human behavior, why we need to be more kind, how do we get there, where do we start from? But I think the thing that we can't do is look at something like social media. It's like, it's all bad. No, but it is hurting people, definitely, but it's also helping people.
Definitely not saying that.
So no, I don't think you're saying that. But I think when we talk about what it means to be positive and ask questions like I did, like why are more people not more giving, not more positive, not more helpful, not more understanding? I think we also have to ask the question, what are those people exposed to? Why do they do the things they do? And ultimately, can we fix that as a society, right? We have these influences. Can we almost repair them?
Or it's up to us individually and as a community to use these things that can be negative and use them for the very best positive that we can. So using social media to, inspire people and to encourage people and to be a light onto others, whether that be through religion, whether that be through, starting your own school of sales or showing people how to do something, encouraging people, being positive, shedding a light, just complimenting. People compliment, all the time and not enough in person. We hit a like is a compliment. So now we're living for likes.
So would you say that there's less positivity and more negativity then?
No, what I'm saying is
it's about making the effort.
Making the effort, you being the example that you want to see. You being the change you want to see in the world. Be like Gandhi.
When you said in the beginning, you said being authentic.
Yeah.
I love that term. I think being your authentic self is actually, that's the best self. Because the truth is, none of us are perfect. So if you're authentic, you're imperfectly perfect. I believe that. You're imperfectly perfect. We're going to start turning this conversation a little bit towards, okay, what does it mean to be more positive and help people? And then how does that also attach itself to being in business, building something, and helping other people on a grander scale? When you talk about being authentic and authenticity, what does that really mean? Can you give some people some strategies watching or listening to help them be more authentic? Because it's not as simple as just saying, hey, go be you. I actually hate that advice. It's terrible advice.
I'm not well doing it either.
But can you give people some strategies? Like if Teddy said to me, Justin, be more of yourself. I think for me that would be, Justin, when you feel like you have to kind of hold yourself back and not talk as much or not give your opinion as much. To me, being authentic means I'm going to give my opinion every time I want to because that's just who I am. I don't know. It's so different for other people.
You being your authentic self.
But that's on a case by case person. So
that's
like,
what I'm
you know,
saying.
when you ask for, you know, tips and things, certain tips are going to appeal to more people than others because one, do you know yourself? That's a big question. Not, you know, me growing up, and I'm sure a lot of other people I've spoken to, like nobody knows who they really are until they're much older. You know, so it's very hard to give you a tip on something if you don't know your own self.
So would you say being authentic really starts with asking yourself questions rather than
self-discovery? Self-discovery. I did not know, you know, I'm more the person and I'm my more authentic self now than I was a year ago. And I had to go through, you know, trials and conflict in order to do that. You know,
what did you go through to get there?
Maybe
people will relate to you.
A breakup. Everybody goes through heartbreak. Everybody goes through.
We're gonna have the Taylor Swift songs playing now.
Yeah, for real. And also things with self-confidence, you know,
that's
whether
that's Adele. Yeah.
Wow.
Now we just found out that Ted Gardner could never play DJ.
No, he doesn't know the difference between Taylor Swift or Adele.
And we also found out I know Adele.
When we like get our soundboard button and like we make stupid sounds, like I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna get a hello from Adele. We're gonna have that on the show.
Adele, if you're listening to the show, make sure you send him a signed vinyl.
Oh my god,
Adele, love your music. You are
at Adele.
Circle back.
Circle back. Okay. So what I was saying.
That was unreal.
What was I saying?
That
was
great.
Heartbreak. Also, you know, being more outgoing. When I was in high school, I always refer to this. I was very shy, and I would not speak to a single soul. I would hide behind my mom. Very childish, I know. But it really takes. It's up to you as a person to say, do I want to continue this way? I saw that by me being shy and quiet, that no one got to see who I was, and I didn't have any friends. And that's sad, but, you know, it's the truth. And, you know, I made that realization, I want to have friends. You know, I want to connect with more people. But then I asked myself after that, what can I do? What can Abby do? What actions can I do in order to secure that? In order to, you know, to make that come true, to make that a reality for me. And for that was, okay, you have to have the courage to go up to somebody new and say hi. You never know what's going to happen.
Was that uncomfortable for you?
It was extremely uncomfortable, and sometimes it still creeps me out a little bit now. I'm always nervous. You know, what are people going to think of me? You know,
and here she is on the show, guys.
And
she's
here I am on the show.
It's still a challenge for her.
Having met these two amazing people, and also meeting some of the best friends that, you know, that I've had my entire life. It's you never know until you try, and that's corny and that's a phrase, but it's so true. I never
you overcame fear.
Exactly. Another example, I was scared to be alone, to go out somewhere new by myself, and that was the biggest thing. I always had to have a friend by me, or, you know, a boyfriend, or, you know, a significant other. But, you know, this past year is all, especially with COVID, everyone's isolated, everyone is, you know, things have prevented you from going out and meeting people, doing things by yourself. You know, so for me, it was as simple as going to the beach by myself. Oh, it's a little weird. No, it's not. You go out to the beach and you go see that sunset. I love sunsets. I love the beach. I love going, you know, and you do it on your own time. You make your own time, and being an individual, doesn't matter if you're single, in a relationship, in a situationship, you're your own person no matter what. That's number one. You are your own person.
Wow.
And to do
absolutely
do those things.
Keep it coming.
Be outgoing. Go to a rooftop. I never went to a rooftop before in my life. I was, you know, scrolling through Instagram, wanting to be the person who, you know, goes to rooftop parties and events, and it really took, you know, till the summer of 2021 to say, okay, there's a private rooftop gathering. I kind of want to go and say, make the drive from Long Island, make the drive, do it, be bold, be courageous, and the reward, oh, is so much better than the risk.
So what I'm definitely hearing is, you know, from those things you're saying is, having the courage to get over those fears to be your authentic self and, do it with ease. Do it unapologetically.
Yes.
Just do it the way that you want to do it.
What would you say to somebody out there? I have my own thought on this.
Great thoughts, Abby. Thank you for sharing it. That's awesome.
What would you say to somebody out there? Because I'm sure someone's listening and they're probably thinking to themselves, I want to be more of me. I want to discover more of myself. I want to do more in the world. What would you say to somebody who's struggling to find their real center, their real authentic self? What would you say to them?
So, great question. Definitely, my own personal thoughts. I think your inherent purpose and finding that purpose and being divinely guided is such a big part of your life. Try everything. Don't shy away from opportunities. Go out there, live your life, and, taking up that opportunity and not missing 100% shots that you could take. You meet certain people. You do certain things. If you're in high school, if you're in college, join a club, meet different people. Like we said, we were founders of a fraternity. One of the most amazing things I've ever done in my life. And, try a new sport. There's just so many avenues of what you could see and how that leads into your life and how that's going to guide you in that direction of where you need to go. And I know with people struggling with finding themselves, being able to spread that positivity through their authentic self, you start to see, and definitely as you get older, that you find that avenue, that you find that path. So definitely try everything and anything.
It could even be simpler. Find out what you
like.
like.
Don't stop trying and doing everything and everything. I mean,
you're gonna hit bumps in the road.
This is for the older people out there. I mean, I could see so many people sometimes that just stay stagnant when they're older. When you're 62 years old, when you're 65 years old, go out there and try something new. There's just so many amazing things that this life has to offer that you could do. Don't stop. There's no reason to stop, ever.
And
ever.
One of the biggest things that I think I learned at a young age, which is really helpful. People always ask, they're like, how do you know so many people when you go places, and what's helped you get to where you are now? And we're nowhere near where we want to be, and neither am I, but I think we're doing okay. Have conversations with a lot of different types of people. And the more people that you can start a conversation with and actually build a rapport with, if you can learn the skill of being what a lot of people in different industries will call a chameleon, like you can literally change your colors to match the colors of the person across from you. If you can master the art of being a conversationalist, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're going to succeed. Because strip away what product you sell, what investments you make, what you build, what you design, what you write, what you sing. Think of any business and strip away for a second what your business does. And I want you to think in your mind of a picture of all the people that work in your office, in your company, the clients that you have. Just look at those people in your head. Close your eyes and do it. Close your eyes. And think about all the people that work at the job you do, or the company that you're in, or the people you employ, or the people that you go to school with. Now, think about that. Now open your eyes. What do you see? Just people.
I was literally going to say just people.
So you know what the most ironic thing about...
That's crazy, yeah.
You know what the most ironic thing about, and we're going to circle back real quick to entrepreneurship and business because that's next week's topic. But the reason I wanted to go here is the ironic thing is we get so worked up about how to sell this product, how to make this deal, how to be perfect proposal, right? Everything's written well, everything's done right, our I's are dotted, our T's are crossed, and we get so crazy about how the company's built and what we're supposed to do and what's the hierarchy. At the end of the day, strip it all away. Everybody's just people. Every company's just people. That's it. So if you can learn how to talk to people, and you can relate to people, and you can be empathetic, and you can be kind and nice, and you can understand other people's psychology, then you can do anything you want in this world. And so I think the conversation that we had tonight is all about psychology. What is being kind? What is being giving? What is trying to be better? What is trying to understand what's going on social media? What is trying to understand why we are who we are, how we're all different but the same? What it comes down to the fact is that we're all just people. And as simple as that is, that's why it's so complex and so hard. That's really what it is. So next time you walk into work, next time you hop on Zoom, next time you go get a bite to eat, next time you have a waiter or waitress come to your table and forget the onions, next time you have somebody not wash your car perfectly, next time you have something crazy happen with your house, take a second. Don't be angry. Don't judge. don't be too harsh. Everybody's just a person in their own life trying to be the best they can. Everybody has a bad day. Everybody has a bad moment. Everybody makes mistakes. We're all just people. And if you really, truly look at the world and say, man, everybody's just trying to be the best person that they can, you will have a different appreciation for everything that happens in your life.
Beautifully well said. That was incredible. Yeah, 100%.
Very inspiring.
100%.
Understand people and understand you because you're important.
We're gonna finish with this.
Understand people and understand you.
Next week's topic is going to be all about what it's really like being an entrepreneur. We kind of teased it at the beginning, and what it's like taking the fundamentals of psychology and things you want to do in life and being authentic, and then translating that into building something. It's a great conversation. I'm excited about it. I mean, it hits home for us. But the question that I want to leave you guys with, and then we'll kind of wrap things up, I think, the question I want to ask really is, when you think of entrepreneurship or building a business, when you think of achieving something in your job, when you think of this idea of going after your dreams, because those are all in the same category in my book. Look, everybody inside is an entrepreneur. That doesn't mean you have to open a business. It could just mean you're the entrepreneur of your job. You're the best at your job, and you take ownership of that. You own your position. You own your success. That's all it means. Entrepreneurship, you look it up in the dictionary, it's about owning and building and creating and envisioning. That's really what it is. What does it mean to you guys? And what do you think your advice would be to somebody out there? Because we talked about beginnings in our last episode. What would be your advice to somebody who's trying to be authentic, but also trying to start something to help more people in the world? Because when you build something, you're going to help more people.
Go ahead first, Abigail.
Oh, we're answering this now. Wonderful.
Pick her.
Yeah, pick me. So one, trying to be your authentic self, you said?
So, like, how would you pair being your authentic self with also building something? How do you do both of those at the same time? How do you struggle along the path of finding yourself while also building something you don't know if it's going to succeed and trying to help as many people as you can? That's a very hard three things to do all together.
So, I got you. So
all right,
the biggest thing, finding out what the people need and what you need and what you're trying to build, is talking to each other, having that conversation, reaching your audience, reaching your potential clients, your potential workers, your potential bosses, your potential employees. What motivates you? What things do you want? What things do you need? What things, interest you? To get them engaged, you have to study. You have to know your audience. You have to know your people. If I walk in to a salsa competition and I want to be a professional dancer, I better know my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and do it well. But how do I do that? I communicate. I go out to classes. I go to social events. I learn from different people. I learn from people who, everyone starts out somewhere. These professionals, they all started somewhere. And you're starting, doing your research, doing your homework. This stuff takes time. It takes energy. It takes time. It takes commitment. It takes, what is it called? Discipline. It really takes all those things to really build something. Okay, I take something from this person, some knowledge, take something from the other person, take this opinion, watch previous dance competitions, if that's, the example that we're using, and say, how can I succeed with my dancing? How can I succeed with my product?
So building is learning.
Yes, building is learning.
And finding yourself is learning.
Yes.
So I was going to segue into that question.
Because I want to hear your response.
You never stop learning. Hey, that's first and foremost.
You should never stop learning. Some people, they don't believe that.
That's kind of what I was saying before as well. Like when you're older, 62, 65, whatever age you want to call it. That's older.
Don't age the people. Older people. That's wrong.
Older people. Trying and doing is, in fact, learning. It doesn't necessarily have to be career-wise. Like, I learned how to ride a horse when I was a kid. And, I'm still learning how to wrangle animals. It's part of my life. I don't want to live the farmer life. But seriously, like, you trying and doing is learning. So you're in fact doing that. But being your authentic self, making sure you're also spreading that positivity of being your authentic self. Look yourself in the mirror and just stand there and say, I am a confident person that can do this. I'm a person that can try and do these things, overcome my fears, and making sure I'm doing this while I'm building this, and just being the best version of me that I can be. You're not going to have 100% all the time in your days. No one's 100% perfect all the time. You're not going to be 100% every single day, but you strive for that, and you strive for...
That's...
I'm
going to hit on that after.
You strive for that, and you do your best, while in your heart, innately, you're spreading that positivity and kindness to other people. So, segue, like, you can be compassionate, kind, positive, but honestly also be a badass. if I'm being honest, like you have to.
It's okay.
You have to segue into doing that. Like seriously.
Well, and
confidence.
And then
your confidence.
You have to exude confidence. And here's the, Ted said
positively.
Ted
confident.
said you're not going to always be 100%. This is the biggest lie that I hear from people, and they say, "Oh, I don't feel 100% today." Of course, you don't feel 100%. What is your 100%? What is compared to what?
That's a good question.
When somebody says, "I don't feel 100%," 100% of what?
Wow.
The air? Like
no,
what?
100% like positive, 100% like your very best.
Yeah, but you can't measure that.
Which is why it's a good question.
Right? So think about that.
A lot of IV thoughts for you guys.
For those of you guys out there, and I've heard people say this to me. They tell me, "Oh my God, Justin, I've always wanted to open my own restaurant," but they say, "Here's the 3-letter word, but." I feel like I can't do it. I'm not confident. I don't want to be out there. And I always look at that person. I'm like, how could you want to do something so badly but feel like you can't do it at the same time? And I get it, guys. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. What that person's really saying is they're uncomfortable failing at first. But there's no such thing as failure. There's just winning and learning. Here's a great example.
Yeah.
I lost a deal about 2 weeks ago in our business that I thought was 100% won. And for those of you in sales, you know that feeling, man. The adrenaline's going, you're excited, you're ready to have a beer with your buds in business, and it's the coolest thing ever. And we're going through the Zoom call, and we got them beat on price, and the competition didn't have as good of a price, and the product didn't cover as much square footage. It was an air filter. It's an air filtration system. So we had it beat on price. We had it beat on coverage. And the gentleman said, how many of these do you think I need? And I said, you might need 1 or 2. And he goes, well, no, I need 1 in each room because it's a growing facility for crops. And I'm thinking, okay, wow, so he needs more like 5 or 6, he just told me. So he made the sale go up. That's cool. That's exciting. I love that. And what it came down to is there was a feature on the product that didn't work with what the client really needed. And no matter what I said, it wasn't going to change the outcome because we're not the manufacturer of the product. And some things, guys, are just out of your control. Some of you that follow me on Instagram may remember this video I posted about how the relationship's more important than the result. And that when things are out of your control, all you can do is critique yourself on what is in your control. Otherwise, you got to let it go. Yeah. But the point that I'm making is I could look at that very negatively and say I lost a sale. Or I could look at it and say I learned an objection that I have to handle next time, do better. I learned that there's a concern that clients may have. I have to find a way to solve that. That's my job now. I learned that not everything's in my control, and that's okay. So I think when people say things like they don't feel fully confident in themselves, they don't feel like they can do it, but they have ideas, really, guys, what you're exuding and what you're showing people is that you're uncomfortable. And you know what? This is the coolest part. Because what happens when you're uncomfortable? That's when you grow.
Well,
that's when you grow.
I'll give the example, and you guys, as of right now, whoever listened to our first episode, welcome to the second episode again.
Welcome.
The way that I'm exuding myself, my confidence, the way I'm going about this episode is so much different from my first. And we said to you guys, we're going to grow as this continues to grow. So we already got better from last week, and that's awesome. That's good.
And if you get 1% better every day, in 100 days, you're going to be 100% better.
Yeah.
Don't focus on trying to build Rome every day. Just focus on trying to build one part of the town, and your whole village will be there.
Brick by brick.
That's really, really important.
From the ground up.
So,
but to circle back, the questions we have for you guys towards the ending is judgment isn't inherent towards other people. How can you spread your positivity? How can your authentic self be spread through your positivity? How you can change lives every single day, and how you can spread about that kindness to other people. So those are the questions we have for you guys. You could drop them in the comments. Make sure you like, subscribe to our video.
And that was kind of the tune of today.
That was definitely the tune of today.
That was the song that we sung.
Moving forward, falling forward, and spreading that positivity towards other people.
So now let's do some housekeeping, which I love. We're going to talk about next week. Oh man, I'm so excited. So we are going to drop the next show Thursday next week, which is super cool. I think we're going to have another special guest on Saturday that we're going to be filming with. I don't want to give everything away, but maybe I'll just give it away.
No, don't give it away.
Don't give it away.
Are you kidding me?
Surprise! Surprise! Hello.
Give it away.
I'll give you a hint.
Listen,
no.
He's part of the Ivy
No,
clan.
shut
No.
He is. It's
All right. Well, you guys have a
you don't know
spoiler
what that
now.
means, but you guys don't know how many people we have working behind the scenes, so you might not know who this is.
This gentleman is. Oh my God.
He's really part of the vision.
He is part of the vision, and
We really love him. He's
really
a brother
do.
to us. So
one handsome looker.
And guess who introduced them to him?
Okay, very good.
our special guest for today. So we're gonna be doing that on Saturday. Not sure we're gonna drop that yet. Definitely go follow us on Instagram and TikTok,
Yes.
and of course on YouTube and Spotify to find the show. But go follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Hit the follow button, the like buttons, because that's where you're gonna find out everything going on with the show right now. So we are gonna film Saturday, and we are gonna drop our next full-length episodes next week on Thursday.
Next week, Thursday.
And we're going to pretty much do Thursdays going forward, guys, unless you hear otherwise. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, next week, what are we going to talk about? So I already kind of said we're going to move into this entrepreneurial, how to build, how to inspire others, how to do more for others space. So I have a question I want to leave you guys with this week because Ted left it with you last week. So here's what I have for you guys.
That I did.
And it has absolutely nothing to do with that because in intellectual vomit fashion, we want to get you guys thinking all over the map. So it's not about entrepreneurship. It's not even about kindness, which is important. Kindness is important.
Very important.
Totally different. Okay? And here's the question. Everything going on with COVID right now, with masks, with remote work, with the metaverse, I want to know from you guys, what do you think is the biggest change that we've seen so far, and where do you think that's going to put society 10 years from now? How is that going to affect us 10 years from now? Because I know for a fact that there are people watching the show that remember when the first cell phone came out, and I bet you they would probably tell you it's wild to think where we are now. So I want to know, all the things that have happened during the COVID time, where are those things going to get us 10 years from now? What is it going to look like?
Good question.
What do you guys think?
Answer us.
Leave a comment.
So remember, go follow us on Instagram, TikTok. Go find us on YouTube. Go find us on Spotify. We are going to be coming to Apple Podcasts quite soon. We're working on that.
Yep.
But man, we're so excited to have you guys. We're so grateful for the opportunity to be here. Abby Navas, thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I also have a
great.
special message for all you folks out there. If you need some encouragement, some words of wisdom, not words of wisdom, I'm not really wise, but if you want to converse, if you want to be if you want to be encouraged, if you even need, some prayer, I got you. Hopefully we can drop my social media in like the little description. You feel free to follow me, feel free to DM me, feel free, anything that you need. I'm always here to talk to you guys. I'm always here to send a positive word of encouragement. I'm here for you. I'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much for having me on the show. I couldn't be even more excited.
We're so happy to have you.
Thank you.
In the description below, link to the YouTube channel, link to our video, and a link to the Instagram handles, and link to our other channels as well. So.
And guys, we're going to have a lot more guests coming on the show. We got some people lined up.
Woo!
If you're out there and you're like, I want to be part of the madness, I want to have an awesome conversation, and you have some cool ideas, definitely reach out to us. All right? We're going to put our email down there too so you can inquire about being on the show and having a conversation with us. So that's it for now. All good things must come to an end for now because we got a lot more to go. But man,
what a show.
It's only been week 2.
What a show.
And I don't know, it feels like we've been doing this for a long time.
Just gear up for next week, baby. And like I said, we're going to grow with you guys. So there it is.
All right, guys. We'll see you soon.
Ivy.
Everybody take care.
Take care.
Ivy guys and gal.
Hey!
Out.
Ivy folks out.